teacher. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Bonnie the Wise. We have now introduced ourselves in a different sort of a manner this morning, which I think is wonderful because that's one of the things I'm very, very grateful for, is change. Oops. Some people don't like that word too much. It reminds them of things they'd rather not be reminded of. I had to thank Teresa because she set up this whole thing and in fact repeated some of what I was going to say. We didn't talk about this earlier. It's just the way spirit and all that wonderful energy works. You know, it just unfolds. We also noticed that some of us were wearing the same colors this morning, which is not an unusual thing for me to notice when I'm at church. Certain people just show up and they look great. So, I think that I'm going to start with what Teresa read. It's from 1 Thessalonians. In everything, give thanks. Can you do that? Can you give thanks in everything? You know how easy it is to do your prayer work. One of the things that Bonny didn't mention that I will mention is that off and on for 20 years I worked for the World Ministry of Prayer, doing prayer work from 6 o'clock at night till midnight with people calling in from all over the world. And you know what you hear. Well, I called yesterday and I wanted prayers for a new partner. So I want prayers for it again because that partner hasn't shown up. Oh no, we have to be patient again. We have to believe that that which is greater than we are knows the way and knows the path, and that we will find that person. I always laugh when I think about that because here's something that probably around 33 years ago I took on to myself because I knew it. A woman's heart should be so close to God that a man should have to realize God to find her. Well, that goes the other way around, doesn't it? If it's about a woman, you know, or about a man, it doesn't matter that the two people looking for what I think Neil Young refers to as a heart of gold. He says, I've been to Hollywood, I've been to Redwood, I've crossed the ocean for a heart of gold. I've been in my mind, it's such a fine line that keeps me searching for a heart of gold, and I'm getting old. And I would, you know, I've been singing this when, I think he wrote that in 72. I've been singing this for years. Finally, one day I realized that the heart of gold I was looking for was in here, that it wasn't out there anywhere, that it was in here. And the work that I was doing was here, in my mind and in my heart, in my verbal expression, in my daily existence. All of it was right here. And I had to take responsibility for myself too. Ooh. So I thought this morning I'd talk about in everything gives thanks, and I'm going to work with 3 words: gratitude, acceptance, and release. Because as some of you know who've heard me speak over the last 6 months, I started a sabbatical the 1st of May, and it was supposed to end on the 1st of November. I think Spirit had other plans. Because when I got to the 1st of November, I heard my inner voice say, it's not time yet. Oh, did I want to hear that? Did I want to hear that? No. And it reminds me of this book that I've always loved, by Shel Silverstein. It's called The Fall of Freddie the Leaf. How many of you know that book? One. Okay. Well, it's a story written for children who are going through transitions. Parent dies, friend dies, whatever. And he wrote it for that purpose, and he talked about Freddie the Leaf, which is the last leaf on the tree who was not going to leave. He's hanging in there, you know. You don't relate to that, do you? And, of course, this time of year brings it up, doesn't it? We're watching all the leaves fall, and I have a tree in my yard, and I looked up one day, and there's Freddie. I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay here. And I had to laugh because last night it was 25 in Albuquerque. I have a feeling he won't be up there when I get home. He will have left. So that reminds me of letting go. So as I've been doing this sabbatical that I'm on, it has been about rebuilding from the inside out. What is it we talk about? It's not about, I don't like that out here, so I'm going to change. I won't go around that anymore. I won't do this. I won't do that. It isn't. It's about, for me, has been about just going into meditation and reaffirming my always there presence with Spirit. And when I talk about the word Spirit, even though we know Spirit and God are the same, for me, Spirit also means that which is unformed. And I came to that because I'm an abstract artist. So when I sit down to paint, trust me when I tell you, I don't know what's coming out. And I will do this thing where I'll rip off, do a painting, throw it over here, and I just keep tossing. And I'll sit there and do it for as long as it takes me to do it. And then pretty soon I'm tired and I'm finished and I get up. Next day, I go back and look at everything I've done, and I will go, that one's important. And then I will pick it up and I'll put it up someplace where I can observe it, and I'll wait. And somewhere along the way, I get the message about what that painting means. A lot of times, it's questions that I've asked the universe that I don't remember getting an answer for, which is fine. So I will see it and I'll go, oh, I know that one. I know what that is. And then it becomes important. Sometimes I do them and I frame them and I hang them and I look at them and I go, I still don't know what you are. And one day I walk through the room and I go, oh, the last one I did was about balance. So waiting on Spirit, and then for me, God, when I talk about God, means when it becomes form. Even though they're all the same thing, this is just my experience. This is what these two words mean to me. So, waiting for Spirit to take form means sitting in meditation, sitting quietly, sitting and listening, and taking everything and asking everybody to leave you alone, which some people understand and some people don't. Some people have to call me and tell me. So guess what? I'm not answering my phone. And I tell people, text me, because this is selective. This is what I choose at this point. This is about me. And my life, for all of my life, has been about service, always, being there for other people. So this is hard. This is difficult for me to say no. No. But I'm saying it. And every morning, I get up at 4. I start walking at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I walk for 5 miles. And I live in Albuquerque, right in the middle, where all the farmland is, and I'm a mile from the river. And I get to go and walk the bike trail, which is, by the time I get finished walking, it's usually 5 miles. And I go out and I'm walking, and if I'm walking on the bike trail, I'm watching the sun over here coming up. I'm watching day break. I'm starting, it's a new day. Does that sound familiar? You know that song that you sing, the very first one? I sing it while I'm walking. Just in case you guys didn't know anybody appreciated your music, thank you for the day. God, thank you for the day. Giving thanks in everything, starting my day, even in talking about working for the World Ministry of Prayer, sometimes we begin with a statement. Sometimes I start, thank you, God. There are people who believe that prayer should start with, thank you, God. There's people who believe it should start as it starts. Sometimes I just say the famous little joke about the little guy who got up in the morning and mom said, did you do your prayers when you got up this morning? And he said, oh, yeah, I just said, hi, God, it's me. Whatever way of speaking to God is your way. Your way. So I'm out there one morning recently when I realized I was extending my time, thinking thoughts like, really? I ought to be patient a little while longer? You know, I'm really ready. Let's go, yeah. Then I started thinking about my spirit-driven life, my purpose-driven life. I started thinking about the fact that it had never been anything else. I'm not a sitter. I get up and do things. And I'm thinking about how much I love my purpose-filled life, and my inner voice said, let go of it. Oh, what? And I remember just stopping. And I'm looking over here at the two stars, Venus and Jupiter, hanging in the sky, and the sun, which is preparing to come up. And I'm saying, you're asking me to empty out one more thing? I said, what? That's scary. I'm sorry. I don't know about you, but that's scary. And I had my moment of, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm not sure I'm going to do it. I'm not sure. And then I remembered, in everything, I give thanks. Even when it doesn't look like what I want to do, and I'm in what I used to refer to and still do, soul squirm. My little soul is in there, you know, like the butterfly that's getting ready to come out in the cocoon, and it's in the cocoon, and it's going, no. But it knows that it has to do these movements to get out of the cocoon. So if I'm going to empty out, I have to do that. And if Spirit says, think about this, I'm going to think about it. I'm not going to say, no, I reject that. No. In everything, I give thanks. Everything. That's pretty stiff, I should say, thing to think about. You know, the things that come along that you're not happy about. Well, I didn't like that. Well, I didn't find my perfect mate. Well, I did, you know, it's like, we could go at Spirit with this forever, but what happens when we go at Spirit with that? We set up a block. You might as well be talking to a brick wall. Because the moment I can't, the moment it doesn't, the moment it becomes a negative, I block it. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing is creating a game called Unblocking. And it would be about, what's the very first thought that came into your mind when you had that positive thought? I can't do that? Oh, I'll never get that done. Oh, I don't want to do that. Instead of allowing Spirit to move through us, to guide us, to lead us, to be patient, and to know that no matter what shows up, it's okay. And the instant that I had this give it up, empty out, I'm standing there like this on the path, just going, I'm sure anybody coming along the path is going, oh, good, we got another crazy person out here in the middle of the path talking to themselves. Oh, well, yes. So I affirm to people at times that, yes, I'm crazy, and it's okay. The acceptance part of what happens and shows up. This showed up. Accept it. Think about it. Think about it. Just think about it. So I had this thought, and I had my reaction, and after my reaction was over and I took my first step, this picture dropped into my head. It was of me talking to a friend of mine about 33 years ago. She had had a psychotic break. And she was talking to me about it, and she said, Bonnie, it was like being in a pool with no sides and no bottom. Then I just looked at her and said, and then I did what I always did as a chaplain, which was to drop myself into the picture, and in this case, swim with her. And pretty soon I said to her, so we're in water? And she goes, yes. And I said, so when you had that, what did you think about it? And she said, it was just another disaster. It was just another situation that I have to cope with. It was terrible. It was horrible. I said, well, let's think about it another way. So let's get a different perspective. Here's this perspective. So here we are, we're in water. Water is the symbol for spirit. How are you being held up? Well, you just naturally float. I said, well, you're in spirit. You're here. Spirit is all around you. Spirit is all through you. Isn't this what we teach? Yes. I said, so here's my perspective. You didn't have a breakdown. You had a breakthrough. And I said, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to take that wonderful mind of yours that right now you're not happy with, and you are going to recreate your world with spirit. And so, of course, here I am standing, on the bike trail, and that was my message from spirit. You get to recreate your world. Choose wisely. Choose wisely. And I went, oh, of course. A little reminder, tap, tap, tap. Yeah, you're never alone. You are never alone. Now, right now, I'm rebuilding. So I said, okay, so I'm rebuilding from inside out. What does that look like right now? And immediately got this picture of this pot, stainless steel, huge pot. Cover was off, and I looked inside, and there was nothing in it. It was shiny and bright. It didn't have any residuals from the last meal. It was clean. And I went, I like that. I can do that. In everything, give thanks. And as you walk along, you are knowing that you are with spirit, for which I am incredibly grateful. And you get to let go of everything that you no longer need, like the tree. You get to just let go of those things that no longer serve you, that you no longer need, and the things you still need, which you're not going to leave, you still need. And they're there for you. So while you're learning that in everything you give thanks, you're learning that sometimes those things that are not pretty, those things that hang on and you wish they would go away, are still there. And you get to still work with them. And that's a blessing. And for that, by the way, I am incredibly grateful. As I've gone along to think about this day, Thanksgiving, certainly after my 77 years, I've heard everything you can say about Thanksgiving, probably said it myself on a number of occasions. And I thought, well, maybe we'll just work with the perspective of what we're grateful for in a different way. So stop and think about something you haven't been very grateful for that's in your life right now. And the first question is, how does it serve me? How does this serve me? It's not pretty, it's ugly. How does it serve me? My friend who had just had a psychotic break, who thought everything was ugly and worth nothing, and so now in a change of perspective, she's thinking about it in a different way. How can you change your perspective on this thing that you don't know what to do with? How do you change your perspective? Some things you're going to release, and some things you're going to just accept that they're there. Can I accept that as I'm walking along, I have this epiphany about my life, and it leaves me not feeling very happy. But that was not its purpose. That was my reaction. What is your reaction to the things that come along that you don't think of as a blessing? And if you change that perspective to this is a blessing, I just don't happen to know what it is, that's a great thing to think about. In one of the healing questions that I've read over the years, one of the questions asked by Carolyn Mize is, how does this disease serve you? How is this moment serving me? And how very grateful I am for this moment. From my heart, from my mind, from every pore of my being, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I needed to see this so that I could do my continued, as I call it, growing up with God. Because sometimes when we're growing, remember being a kid? Sometimes my inner child has a temper tantrum because it didn't get what it wanted. It's really hard, to see things in that way and know that they are serving you and serving your growth and serving that sense of there is no separation between me and God. So for Thanksgiving, as you go about your week, I want you to think about something that the Dalai Lama said, which is outside of the work you're doing within. He said, my wish is that one day formal education will pay attention to the education of the heart, teaching love, compassion, justice, forgiveness, mindfulness, tolerance, and peace. He says we should place a greater value and a greater teaching on our inner values. So this Thanksgiving, as you sit down with your family and your friends, or you sit by yourself, it doesn't matter how you do this. I want you to think about everything that you are grateful for, including the food before you. When I say I'm grateful for everything, I'm grateful for the center. I'm grateful for Bonny the Wise. I'm grateful for all the practitioners. I'm grateful for every person in this room. And there's lots of you in here I don't even know. I'm grateful for what you do. I'm grateful for how you bring yourself to this planet. And while you may criticize yourself, I say, criticize yourself and then love yourself. And that's the greatest gift for Thanksgiving, is to be able to love yourself exactly as you are. That's how it is. Exactly how you are. And know that other people feel the same way. You're not alone. You're like the water that's sustaining us in this unending pool. You're never, ever, ever alone. And that is your gift. And that is what I want you to think about this year as you celebrate with whoever you're celebrating with, the abundance of your life. Today, I have a grateful heart. I am filled with love, joy, peace, acceptance, understanding. I'm filled with love for each and every moment that I am alive. And thank you, Spirit, for all that I know out there that I can only see formed as I move forward in my life, and I give from that gratitude of a grateful heart. Namaste.